currently just ordered, oh my god, I just ordered some Red Bulls because I am going through it and I need energy, and they're gonna arrive at 2:22, which is my angel number. See, everything happens for a reason. I knew I was supposed to get Red Bulls today. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mara if you're new. If you're not new, welcome back. Today I'm doing like a newer tag. I think Destiny Sidwell made it, but it is the end of the year book tag. I didn't do one in the middle of the year when everybody was talking about their mid-year wrap-ups and like the mid-year tags people were doing. I didn't do that because I didn't read that many books in the first half of the year that were really like enough to make me want to film a video about it. But now we're towards the end of the year. I've read more books that I feel like I can talk more about what I really read. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. There's 20 some questions. I'm just gonna jump into it now because I don't know how long this is gonna take or how long I'm gonna end up rambling. So I'm just gonna get started. The first question is the most disappointing read of the year. This one honestly hurts me to say it, but it was definitely Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I was so excited to read this book. Everybody was talking about it. I really wanted to read The Ballad of Never After. Everybody was just saying how amazing it was, and I could not get into it for the life of me. I listened to the audiobook, I read it on Kindle, like I could not do it. I want to reread it because I just want to like be in on that lore, but I also want to enjoy it, so I don't want to force myself to read it too soon. So maybe it was right book, wrong time. Maybe I just won't ever like it. I don't know. I think I'm gonna put it off forever so I can be like, maybe one day I'll love it, and then I don't actually have to read it. The next question is underdog book of the year. 1000% Collide. Like, that and Icebreaker, my two favorite hockey romance books ever. I have not seen anybody to this day talk about this book, and I read it a few months ago. I read it the day it came out and I was obsessed. It's just like the perfect hockey romance book. I loved both characters. I'm gonna talk about it more later on because it appears in some other questions, but 100% underdog book of the year was Collide. A book that was overhyped, another Stephanie Garber book. I did Caraval. I enjoyed it. I didn't really find that it had a lasting effect on me. People were like really hyping it up a lot. I just didn't really see that. I read the first book. It wasn't anything crazy, so I didn't continue the series. Maybe it gets better. I'll never know. Favorite book couples of the year. First place. Well, actually, I feel like I can't do first, second, and third place because they're all so amazing, but like in different ways, and I would 100% reread all of these books for these characters specifically. But Aiden and Summer from Collide, I love them. Lily and Lauren from Addicted, everybody's obsessed with them. And then Will and Annie from Practice Makes Perfect. Just such like a sweet, cute read. I really liked their dynamic and I really liked them as individuals, and together they were just adorable. Favorite main characters of the year are literally all of the women from the last question. So Summer, Lily, and Annie. They all were so different and battled such unique issues, but like in their own special ways. I just really admire them. I think they were amazing, and I could easily say like BJ Valentine from Magnolia Parks, which would be a true statement, but like, do I really love him for him, or do I just think he's hot? Like, that's why I was like, probably the women here, right? Speaking of though, a book that surprised me was Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I knew I would really enjoy this book because of the vibes people were saying it gave off, so I knew I would really like it, but I didn't expect to obsess over it the way that I did, and the way I continue to, and the way it really just takes over every single thought I have in my brain at all times of the day. And then secondly, a book that surprised me was also Collide, yet again. Nobody had talked about it. I went in with literally zero opinions, had no idea what expectations I would have, and I was super impressed. I love the writing. Usually a book like that where I haven't seen anybody talk about it, I'm kind of like, I'm probably not gonna like it because I have no idea what to expect. Loved it. Like, I literally feel like I'm their biggest fan. A new author that I discovered in 2023 was also Jessa Hastings. My happiest read of the year is probably Wildfire by Hannah Grace, which I know sounds kind of crazy because this book talks a lot about mental health and a lot of heavier topics in some capacity. I was just really excited for this release, and I think that made me really happy reading it because I knew that was a book that I was really looking forward to, and I hadn't really had a book come out that I was like counting down the days to read it, so that just made me excited to like have it in my possession and really happy reading it, even though the topics were kind of intense at times. But the characters were really sweet, and overall because of that I just enjoyed reading the book, so it put me in a good mood. My most frustrating book that I read in 2023 was Pucking Around by Emily Rath. This book was 800 pages of pure smut, and it just felt like there was no plot the entire time, but I couldn't finish because I was like, I need to see where this goes, but I felt like I like took off years of my life. The next question I'm gonna skip because it's best adaptation of the year, and honestly I just don't watch TV ever, and none of the books that I like are TV shows or movies, so skip for this one. The next one is longest book you've read this year, which was also pucking around at around 800 pages, hence why I was so frustrated. The shortest book that I read this year was The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. This was 96 pages. Yeah, I read Hemingway, no big deal. Favorite covers of the year. Where's it at? Oh, thank God, it's like right here. Favorite cover was Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. Just look at how gorgeous this is. I love, like, for context, if you haven't heard about this book or you haven't read it yet, it's about an interior designer. Is he a contractor or like a carpenter? Like, what is he? Like, builds houses. She renovates them. So that's how this like comes into play. But if you look at it, it's like paint swatches. Like, it's very, very fitting for the plot of the book, but it's not like a busy cover. And I just love the colors on it and I really like it. And then look, the back is like a notepad. So cute. A book that I haven't stopped thinking about is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I closed that book and genuinely felt like I lost a piece of me. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I just hadn't felt that attached to a fantasy book before, and I really, really enjoyed it. I read Iron Flame. I prefer Fourth Wing so far. But who knows what the future holds. Cringiest book that I read this year was the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. Now look, I literally was just preaching the cover of this book. I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed other works by Lauren Asher. I did listen to the audiobooks of these books, so hearing them and talking about like the smut is kind of cringy and awkward. I was like listening to it while I was driving, so I would just be sitting there like this while they're like going at it like Pound Town, and I'm just like supposed to drive through it. Like, it was so awkward. And like I said, I do really enjoy Lauren Asher's books, so this just says something in my opinion. Other people have read it and liked it. Maybe if I read the books, I wouldn't feel like it was kind of cringe, but because I was listening to it, it was just not really my cup of tea. Unpopular book that you love, Collide. Like, I can't pretend like that book's not the only thing on my mind at all times. Hang on, let me check on my Red Bull. Oh wait, never mind. It's not gonna arrive at 2:22. It's arriving at 2:35, so I have more time because it's 2:21 right now. What was the highest and lowest rated books you read this year on Goodreads, and do you agree? So the lowest rated book besides a DNF and besides like reading an autobiography where I didn't rate it at all was a 1 star, and it was In a New York Minute by Kate Spencer. I was just highly disappointed in this book. I didn't like the FMC, and it just felt really messy and unorganized. Like, they were constantly going back and forth. I was really looking forward to reading it because I thought it was going to be really cool, just like a cute concept, but it wasn't. It was like, the concept was there, I just didn't like the way it was executed. A book that I rated 5 stars. I rated a few books 5 stars, but to avoid like talking about the same books over and over again, I'm gonna pick one that really stuck out to me, and that was Rock Paper Scissors by Alice Feeney. I gave this 5 stars, and if you know anything about me, I'm not a huge thriller or mystery kind of girl, so the fact that I really enjoyed this book and gave it 5 stars really says something. Everybody's talked about it. I feel like I've seen most people say that they really enjoyed it. I recommended it to a bunch of people, but I think the fact that I rated it 5 stars really says something, because that's not usually the genre I would go to first. Question 18 is favorite quotes of the year. So I read a few books where I tabbed up a ton of quotes because I had just read this book. I have it here, but I don't know what page it's on. I have the quote on my laptop, but I just read this book a few days ago. I really, really enjoyed it, and I just think it's fitting for the times. This quote is from The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy, and the quote is, "Nobody likes failure, G, but I maintain that this isn't failure. This is just one moment in time. A moment in time," she echoes weakly. "Yes, and right now in this moment you're down, but that's okay because I'm here to lift you up. Always," she whispers, peering at me with those big gray eyes. "Always, you fall, I pick you up, always." I just love it. Next question is a book with the most unique concept, and I did A Court of Mist and Fury / A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, because the main reason why I picked this book was, or the series I should say, is because you can tell when you're reading any book by Sarah J Maas that she's kind of like the Stan Lee of fantasy books, where if you're a Marvel nut like I am, Stan Lee's had everything planned out for Marvel for decades. Rest in peace to the legend, but like literally everything's been planned out and like interconnected, and there's been signals and Easter eggs and all of these different movies for decades and comics for decades. Like, it's crazy, all of the connections, and you can just tell that she maps and outlines everything perfectly and so far in advance, and they will always connect, and it's so crazy to go back and like rediscover those connections. I just think that's really impressive, because I think a lot of authors are also like, yeah, I did have a map, but I wound up scrapping it and just like making things up as I went along. And maybe she is doing that, but it's executed in a way that makes it look like she has been having things planned out for a while. And I wouldn't put it past her, honestly, to have everything mapped out for years. Book that you would reread, I did the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which I do plan on doing in 2024, maybe doing a video about it, because I love those characters and I loved that series. Question 21 is your reading goal reflection and then your 2024 reading goal. So in 2023, I think my reading goal was 40 books, and I am at right now 109. So I was way over my reading goal, and I want to read 100 books again in 2024. And then finally, after your 2023 reading, what are you prioritizing in 2024 reading wise? I'm in a lot of different series, and there's also some books that I've had for a long time that I just have not read. I really want to knock those out and just be present while I'm reading, because I feel like a lot of the books that I'm reading aren't new releases, so I just kind of feel out of the loop, which is fine. Like, you can read an old book and people haven't really mentioned it, so you're still getting like new thoughts, but I really want to be caught up. And I feel like I'm really behind on some of the books that I'm reading. That's everything. I feel like I got through that really quick. I thought this was gonna take a long time. That's all the questions. I got nothing else. Yeah, good year, good reading year. I'm thoroughly pleased and impressed and proud of myself for how much I read and the books that I read. Generally feel like I read some pretty good books this year. There were only a few that I can think of that just like didn't cut it for me, but that's totally fine. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys when I see you.